Good morning to the Barbados Beach House channel. Hope you're all well. It's been quite some time before I checked in, as always, but it's always nice to give it a bit of a gap in between so I can give you an update on what's going on. Before I start gassing, if you don't mind hitting that like and subscribe button downstairs, that'd be beautiful. As you can hear, we've got a bit of hilting going on today, so we've got some stuff being done, which is quite cool. Some electric points in the garage for e-chargers. We've had lots of plumbing done, so I'm going to physically give you an overview on all the stuff that's been done in the last few weeks, and I'll also give you an update on what's going on downstairs in the basement. So anyway, let me start by where do I start? Let me start with downstairs. Okay, so downstairs, not too sure where we left it, but basically we are still in a situation where just clean that camera. Okay, so it's all been plastered down here. All of the supports for the suspended ceiling that's going to go in are up. We've gone 2 inches, so 2x2s, and we've screwed those in with construction screws. The internet cables have got to be rerouted, and again, the electrical side hasn't really bared the data in mind, so I'm going to have to try and find a way of running the data in conjunction with the power, because I don't know if you know, but if you run data next to power, it interferes with the actual data reliability. So as you can see, it comes through in this far corner here, different on the camera, there it is. So we've currently got 2 coming in that go to the cottage, which is over there. We're going to be running an extra one for this room, which will be data for this room, and we're going to be running another one through for an extra camera, which will be going on the side of the cottage, which will be facing down towards the beach. So there'll be 4 cables coming in here at some stage, and I think what I'm going to have to do in this corner here, I'm going to have to run them across this wall here to the beam, then run them across this beam here all the way along to this corner, just trying to avoid the power. Because as you can see here, there's obviously lighting conduits going 90 degrees across the roof, 45 degrees across the roof, and obviously I'll be running data across those. So that one there is one on this run here, but that's it. So if I run it from this corner, where am I? If I run it from this corner all the way along here, then I do hit 1 cable here, but that's it all the way along to the beam, and then from the beam all the way along there's nothing else. So that's probably the best traffic to run it past. What I should have done really was ask the electrician to bear that in mind. So really what we should have had is all of the data come through a separate room. The electrical side of it should have been kept away from that wall, so we knew that data was being run, but that hasn't happened. What we are going to do in here, I mean obviously we're up to 2nd fix on the electric, so the unit is in, the fuse board, all of the actual sockets are in and ready to be turned on. All the trips are obviously in and connected, and the next stage is going to be we want to slick the walls with it's like a filler. In England we would use like a filler after we sort of plasterboarded. We're going to skim this as tight as possible, give it a quick sand down so it's nice and smooth, then it'll be painted white. We do have this crack on the floor. In fact, let me spin it around. The actual crack on the floor seems to be getting a bit bigger, and this seems to be in and around where a lot of the pipe work was being run across. So here we've got a lot of the conduits coming from the electrical unit here. They're all run diagonally across to this wall, which is all this power here. So I think it's where the conduits are, so but still not ideal. So we're going to have to find a way of actually getting that filled, and then we are going to have to look at what we're going to do on this floor in here. Obviously we've got the lines on here where it got wet and the paper left stains, and we do have quite a bit of fibre on the floor, so we'll probably get it sanded down, and I think maybe an epoxy or a lino in here I think is what we're going to do. But as you can see, you know, it's open at the moment. It doesn't need to be made into an apartment at the moment, but it's geared to be a bedroom there, a bathroom there, and this would be a living room, kitchen, diner with a kitchenette going across this wall if we ever turned it into an apartment. Today I'll be contacting All Round to get a price for 2 glass French doors for there, and I also want a glass door to go in there as well, just if anything to let a little bit of light and visibility in. And then on the next stage is going to be obviously ordering all of the plasterboard to go up, and then the lights going in. We did obviously cut this in the end. I can't remember if I filmed it for you guys, but obviously this used to be a 2-inch pipe running all the way over to this corner here and going through, and there used to be a big hole here if you remember rightly. We've reduced that now down. We've managed to find a way of connecting in quite nicely, and we've got a 3/4 inch pipe now punched through that wall, and it connects next door. And one thing I've done is I've got the electricians to put doubles on here, so this controls next door as well as in here. And obviously we've come through this wall here neater, and we've connected into here, so I can't really get rid of this pipe at the moment until we do something with the patio upstairs. This remains, but at some stage it will go. And obviously we've got to try and get a bit neater with the ducting for the cabling over there. You've got to run more anyway, so we'll do that later. This pipe's going to be to remove. This is the overflow for the air conditioning system. It's not very good at the moment, unfortunately, due to the heights and issues we have with door frames. So we're going to remove that. And the 1/2 inch clear pipe they normally use for the units themselves, we're going to connect those up and take those through. This has all been plastered in here as well, as you can see. So again, same thing. We'll probably just paint this. We're not going to bother slicking this, but again, we've had a bit of power put down here as well. I don't quite understand. There's a lot of fixer foam and everything going on, which is a bit weird. But yeah, not the neatest of plug sockets in the world. Not too sure what's happened. But yeah, they all look a little bit weird. But anyway, we're going to have to get those neatened up because they're a mess. Again, drill through here, again, same thing. Seems to be like a load of fixer foam and all sorts going on here. I'm not too sure what's going on there, so we'll have to neaten that up. And again, we've got a double here, which means we can turn out there on and from outside. We've had quite a lot of plumbing work done, so we'll go through that in detail in a minute. But as you can see here, we've got the boiler that was fitted in ages ago. We've got rid of the stale water out of that now. We're testing at the moment new pumps. So as you can see, there's a new pump sitting there. You can just about see it. We've got the electric on, so now it's charging and it's working. And we've routed a new pipe around to try and get the circulation going. And at the same time, we've put some more valves in to ensure that we stop the flow getting confused. So at the moment, that restricts the water going up, and that restricts the water going down. So now the water comes into the boiler and back out again. We've got an expansion tank going on here in case that overheats. And we need to take the power from 220, which is on here, over to the pump as well, because the pump is a 220 pump. So that will be tested later on today, fingers crossed. But yeah, let me take you over to the cottage and show you the plumbing work we've been doing over there, which is pretty awesome. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to having the water finally on. Found a really good plumbing firm on the island. Don't want to talk too soon, guys. But yeah, good guys, really, really good guys. Good technical understanding, good technical work. So I'm going to show you what they finally understood what it is I want, and they've supplied and installed as well. So I'll take you in and show you that in a second. Bear with me a second. Okay. So one thing I do need to do is get an electrician to move my socket, my light socket in the basement of downstairs. It's so crazy. I've literally got a light socket for downstairs right over the other side. Let me show you. So I'm about to go down the steps. The ladder's been moved, which I need to move back. But yeah, you think there'd be a light switch here or up on the wall. But oh no. Come all the way downstairs into the basement. I'll come all the way over to the far side to turn the light on. Which is madness. So I'll move that back over where it should be. So yeah, I'm going to get an electrician to move the socket either to here, or I might even come up through the wall and chase it up and have it up here. The only downside is if people don't see it, they'll turn it on and off, not knowing what it is, and then down here will be on without them knowing. We're going to run conduit along here. As you can see, we've gone right up here. We punched through the wall for the data. For some reason, the data guy ran it through here, which is a bit weird. So we've run up to that corner. I'm going to conduit all the way along here and then come up through the floor, and that's where the access points, the cameras, etc. will all be fed from. We've removed some of the supports that were in here from when we had all this installed, which is good. Let me start with this. What an amazing system. So, this basically is called mowing. They're flow sensors. So basically what that means is, at any point, it tells me my usage, and it also tells me whether it's analysing any unforeseen usage, and it lets me know it's unforeseen. So am I happy with it or I'm not happy with it? If I'm happy with it, I leave it. If I'm not, then I press buttons on the app, etc., and it automatically shuts the actual water off. So as you can see, there's a bypass in case there's any issues. But yeah, what a great device. So to give you an example, we had a float issue, making a bit of noise. We had a float issue in here, we had a ball valve that went faulty in here yesterday. That overflowed and came up to the floor. As soon as it hit the floor, the mowing sensors that I put in here went off and let me know when I was over the road. Leak detected. I came over here and that was overflowing, and I pressed the button and it shut the mains off straight away. Absolutely awesome. So we've had new feeds put in, we've had all the new pipework all done, connected. We've had the filters centralised over here because one of them was over this side and one was that side, so we've had the two filters put there. So that's the first filtration. So now what happens is these two filters allow these two 450 tanks to be filled up with filtered water. Then I've had this put in. So we now have the pump system which feeds the house with these two. So this is the pump, obviously. This is the unit that controls everything. This is the booster. And then we've had this pressurised tank. This is I think this is 20 litres or 20 gallons. I think it's 20 gallons, I think. So basically what happens is that pressurises that water. As soon as we open a tap in the house, that is what gives the house the pressure. And at any point, these two keep that pressure going. As you can see here, the gauge is doing really well. It's at 70, which is awesome. And that's set at 5.3. So at any point you open up a tap, we're now driving the house, and these two tanks is what we were meant to do from day one. So the two tanks pressure are filled up at all times. If we have a water shortage in the area, or the water board do any work for any reason at all, the mains will obviously be starved, but we still have 900 gallons of water, which is fed to the house by these two. So again, unfortunately, we had to draw those down, we had to clean them out because they were full of stagnant water. And now we've got the filters moved over to here. And I've also had these filters put in from America, which, as you can see, there's your brand. So they're not cheap. But what this does, this softens the water. So normally you'd have a softener machine that you add salt to and it's electric. That softens the water and turns the water back into drinking water again. So when you see that white, cloudy, horrible stuff on your shower screens, your boilers calcify up, your kettles calcify up, that's because the water's really high in lime scale, etc. These two units physically cleanse that water before it goes into the house. So again, bypass just in case. Obviously, if you need to change these filters, you need to isolate, obviously, and open up so the house can still be fed. But then obviously all the water going into the house is going to be fed from these two. So again, new electrics in. We removed the pumps that we had on here that weren't doing very well, and everything's been reset up. What a great setup. Good quality workmanship, nice and tidy. The only thing I would have done different, probably, knowing what I know now, probably would have gone a bit higher on this block. I think, to have us 2 to 3 blocks off the floor would have been good. If we do have an issue, let's say that one of these tanks bursts or splits, I've got 450 gallons of water to come into here. How deep would that be in here? Would it go over that step and would it ruin these? That's my only concern. And the only stage we've got to do next now is some form of sump hole. We did do a little sump hole here, but we're thinking about doing another sump hole over there, putting a pump in the corner with some rigid fixed pipework out the wall, with one of these rodded floats, so that if there is any leak in here at all, obviously we've got the sensors in the corners that let us know if there's a leak. We've got the auto shut off, but it doesn't stop us. If I auto shut off and one of these is split, this water's coming into here, so I want that water to go out. So the only thing we've got to do now is just some form of emergency pump that would ensure that if anything did go wrong, then this would literally exit that water out if I was not around or not able to attend. So, plenty of work to be done. The other thing we are going to do is we're going to insulate the ceiling here. So I'll probably go and get the roll, what's it called? The stuff you put in attics. It's like what is it? It's horrible. It gets on you, it makes you itch to death. But they do big rolls of that, normally sort of values of about sort of R7 to R11. I'm going to put some of that in the ceiling voids here. I may plasterboard over the top of it, I don't know yet. But if anything, it's just about trying to stop the noise going up from the boilers. They're not massively noisy, as you heard them, they're not noisy boilers. But I think I could do with, if this is going to be a bedroom up here, which it is, then the last thing you want to be doing is laying in bed at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And then when someone in the house, bear in mind everything's linked from that, if someone in the house over the road wants to have a late shower or is running water for whatever reason at all, the pump's going to kick in and it does create noise. So yeah, I think I will insulate that at least, just to try and keep the noise down. And I think I might also get an extractor in there just to keep the humidity and the heat level down. And then that's it for the water supply. So that's the cold water supply to the whole complex. Hopefully going to be sorted out. I showed you in the last videos, we had the new sinks and pedestals installed. Let me just show you the one in here. They're all the same anyway, so I don't need to go into massive, but I think I showed you these already. They're all settled in, but the one thing we do want to do is just change the waste. The waste in there is very flimsy and plasticky. We want to try and get some more rigid stuff put in there to ensure that we're all good. Found some nice glass splashbacks and Koymans. Didn't even have to colour them because they're all pre-coloured, so it was just literally a silicone on. It fits nice with the colour that we've actually got as well, which is, I think, it's quite good. So that's pretty much it for in here. What we are doing at the moment is installing an electric cable. So let me show you very quickly. So in here we've actually got access into the basement. So what I didn't do, there's 5 4-inch tubes that go from this side of the building to that side of the building, and the thinking was to have the inverters for the solar panels downstairs in the basement and then run all of the actual cabling for the batteries, etc., outside to these 2 recesses, which are on the side of the building. Let me show you what I mean by that. So the condensers for the air conditioning, which unfortunately we did land up putting here because of the size of them, we actually had these 2 recesses done so that we could put all of the condensers in with some shutters over it, and we could put the batteries in and shutters over it. So at the moment we've got 5 4-inch tubes coming through the garage floor from the basement, and they come out around about here. We've actually concreted over everything, so now it's a guess of where they bloody are. But yeah, so at the moment what we're trying to do at the moment is we're drilling through the floor because I stupidly didn't think about access into the garage. So I thought about running the 5 4-inch conduits from the basement to here, so I could access the building from one side to the other. But I forgot about putting T-junctions in there to come up into the garage, where I'd be able to access the basement and access out here via the garage floor. So now we're having to drill through the floor, and again, because of the weight of the concrete and the way that they were set in, I've got 4-inch tubes now going through the garage floor, but they all bend down. So I'm measuring 10 inches that I need to drill, but because the pipes are actually at an angle going down through the floor, I think we're about 18 to 20 inches. So we don't have a drill bit long enough to drill through to access those pipes. So what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to drill down through those pipes by taking out some of the concrete, because we need to remove the concrete to get deeper, because the drill bits are only 14 to 15 inches in length. So another note for anybody, if you're doing concreting and you want access to different areas, always try and map out how you would access those rooms before you pour the concrete. I did think about it, but I completely neglected to think about how would I get power and data and water, for instance, or even air conditioning. How would I get that from the garage out without drilling through walls? Those 5-inch pipes that I put through, perfect for getting from one side of the building to the other. But if I want to put an air conditioning unit or a split unit in the garage, that pipework's going to have to go down and through the walls, whereas I could have gone straight through a T-junction, gone straight out to the left-hand side of the house, or gone into the basement without any drilling. So yeah, note to self. I think M&E drawings and planning are essential, and that's one thing I think I did neglect, unfortunately. So that's pretty much where we are at the moment. We've got some work going on in the house as well, which is really just the plumbing side of it. We're trying to get that nailed. The other thing we did do is we had one of our hot water tanks on the roof burst, so we've had to isolate that. But one thing we have done is all the pipework that was on the roof that was standard thin, standard hot water pipe. We've had it all removed, and we've had a thick, more industrialised pipework put in, and we've had insulated. So we've had one of the tanks switched off because it's burst. We've had the other tank now as our main source, and we've had all the pipework renewed to ensure that we don't have this bursting of pipework and pipework in the sun, so it can obviously go brittle and burst. So that's all been done as well. And we're still in heaven. Look at the garden as well, by the way. I think my wife will kill me if I don't talk about her garden. Check this out. So she's spending quite a bit of time on having nice stuff put in. We moved that tree from there there was a little off cut up the end of the road. We planted it here and it grew into a tree, and then we've moved it to here. That's taken really well. And now we have all of these lovely plants all in. They're all bedding in. The elephant ears have taken nicely in the corner because we really were struggling because of the gases and the water from the well. Nothing was really taken here, but they all are. And all of this maturity is coming through. It's beautiful. So the green fingers of my wife. Fair play to her. These are all growing really nice as well. These are quite small. So yeah, and the next thing we do want to do is to get some power around here and all the way around the building as well, right around the entire building. Just that we got some security lighting, really. At the moment we don't have a lot of lighting, and another thing we neglected, we didn't actually power out from the house to the perimeters of the walls to get some nice evening lighting. So that's one thing unfortunately I'm going to have to do, and it's always harder to do it after the event than it was when you were in the ground. So anyway, that's it for now. I'll check on you a bit later on. We're still drilling through now. Hopefully we're going to reach that pipe. Fingers crossed, we're probably going to have to take the slab up to get to it. But I'll let you know we get on with that. And it's all about really putting a electric charger station in there for hybrid cars. So I'll let you know we get on. Wish me luck. Okay, right, so we're back a little bit with an update. So we're through the floor. Our hope was to try and drill through the concrete floor in the garage to get to the 4 to 5 inch, 4 inch conduits going for the floor, but it's not happening. So it's obviously a lot deeper than we thought. So what we're now doing is just going out the actual concrete floor so we can access all 4 pipes of the 5. One of them is actually for the mains unit and the internet, so we're going to leave that one alone. That's the one if you were looking at them on the right hand side. And then what I'm going to try and find a way is getting a T-junction onto each one of those and bringing up a 4 to 3 inch diameter pipe. So let me spin through and I'll show you what we mean. So again, note to self in future, plan this out, and it saves you having to do what we're doing now. So as you can see, we're having to drill through the rebar. You've got some obviously 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch stuff there, some BRC. We've had to bend some of it down, but we'll cut that out in a minute. So we've made the hole around about 20 inches. And we're now touching pipes. So we've taken all this marl out, and now we're touching the top. So we'll get all of this cleaned out now, and the hope is we'll have no marl in there at all. And that will then enable us to punch through the pipe and find out which ones were actually above, out of the 5 obviously. And then we want to bring at least 3, maybe 4 of those up into this floor. And then once it's up, we'll backfill it and re-concrete around it. But then we'll have 3 to 4 openings here where we'll be able to go straight down and into the basement, or straight down and out of the side of the garage. All of those diagonally come through here, and they go through that wall there. So remember, I showed you the 2 returns. The 4 to 5 pipes come out of that wall roughly centre. And it is rough, obviously. So they're at an angle, that's for sure. I would say they're just to the right of this light here, I would say, in this wall. So yeah, at the moment that's good. We're feeding them. We started off with a little hole. We've widened it now a little bit more. I would like to see at least 3 inch, if not 3, 4 inch pipes coming out of that floor there, all concreted around. And then that way we can go through and access nicely, keeping data on one side and keeping power on the other. Not that plastic will insulate against data and power interfering with each other. It does need to be some form of shielded pipe work. But I'll see if I can get a Cat 6, which is shielded. It might be more expensive, but at least it can come through. And it's just about trying to get a data point in here. At some stage, obviously, we've got internet here already. But for instance, we're going to have the inverters and the batteries potentially housed over here. So they'll be on the internet. There's cameras in here that are on the internet. And the cars are on the internet as well. So at the end of the day, we need some form of internet connection in here. That block wall there, which is full of rebar and full of concrete, stops the data getting through. So we need to have a separate feed in here, which will probably end up being mounted up here somewhere, would have thought. But anyway, I'll update you as we go. Nearly there. Okay, so this is what we're looking like so far, which is awesome. There's all the pipes. Unfortunately, all of them are joins. So there's obviously a spacer, as they call it, which is obviously a female to female connection. Then you obviously got the female to male, female to male, female to male. That is also, I think that one might be okay. So what I need to do is find a way of tapping into these now with a 2-inch or 3-inch to come up rather than 4s. So we're gonna need to get that all hoovered out at some stage and then find a solution that obviously enables us to reduce from 4 into a 2/3. So hit me in the comments below with any solutions that you're aware of. I'm not currently aware of anything on the island that enables you to tap into an existing size and change the diameter, but that's technically what we need to do. Here's some of the sort of 3s and 4s that we've got laying around, but I would prefer, if I could, to try and come up in a smaller size. It's only going to be for the odd cable, so 2s would be good, but 3s would be ample. So yeah, I'm going to nip out very quickly now and see if I can find a solution where we can drill in, have some more connection that enables either a reduced pipe to come up or a reducer to go into the pipe. So I'll report back once I've done that. Don't forget to hit the comments below for me. Okay, all washed up and finished. So, I'll show you in a second anyway. But so we've cut roughly a 10-inch square hole all the way down to the pipes, hoovered out all the marl, and then what I've actually done is I bought, I don't have it's over here, I bought a 2¼ inch cutter. I've cut through the actual pipe itself. No, as it is, there it is. So, still a bit in there, look. So 2¼ inch cutter straight through the pipe, and then bought some 2-inch adapters with a thread on it, and bashed those through. So very similar to that, but one with a thread on the end of it. So rather than a thread inside like that, it's the female, that's a female version, the male version of that basically. And the thread didn't really work, but with a bit of 4x2 on top of it and a hammer, they bashed through. They're nice and tight. So then I've got that hanging out the pipe, and then I've put 2-inch pipe, which worked out around about 2 foot to come out the ground, protrude by about 4 to 5 inches. So I bought one of these as well, but I didn't need that because I've already got one, so I can now take that back to Carter's. I did buy a couple of 4-inch caps and stuff like that, just in case. And then what I also bought is these. So that what I can do is I can actually mount that onto the top of the 2-inch mozzie, and then that into the top as a screw, like so. That's really it in case there's water, but in all fairness, I've come out the floor by about 4 or 5 inches, so the chance of me getting 4 or 5 inches of water in the garage is very slim. However, if I'm not going to use one, I will be putting one in there just in case, because what I don't want is any access into the basement, certainly if it's going to be water. So, let me spin it around. So obviously one of these, they landed up being 24 inches. The one thing I couldn't do was get all 3 dead in line because of the joins. So I have got one a little bit protruding backwards, which is a bit of a bugbear. But these 2 are nice and straight. The heights are different just purely because of how deep I could get them into the actual join itself. So again, my OCD will do a little bit, so I will trim those off to make sure they're all the same height. The ones that aren't being used, I will put one of these on the end and put a fixing on. And the other ones, once we've actually poured in the cabling needed, I will silicone around the whole thing to ensure that's all protected. But again, it's quite a high point in this corner. The chances of any water happening of depth is very slim. We did have this blow off about 6 months ago, so it can happen. But at the same time, what I will be doing is moving this jet wash around the corner to here, just so if it does blow off again, it blasts that way. And then the electric car charger will come through here, and we'll have it mounted down the bottom here somewhere, as long as the cable to it is long enough to reach over and plug into the side of the vehicle here. This, by the way, I might actually copy Giraffe into this. This is an American brand, bloody good jet wash. But unfortunately, recently, this slider, which enables the tube, the jet wash cable to be pulled out, and it costs and continues over and back again. For some unknown reason, it's broken. I've emailed them. They said it's too old. I mean, I think it's about 4 or 5 months over the warranty period. But I want to promote them because it's a good brand. But without being ready, it's not lasted very long. So it definitely needs this part here taken off and changed. So whether they can just do me the part will be great. And I have taken it apart to see if I could fix it, but it doesn't work. As you see the thread here, look. So basically, as you pull it, it goes up and down this thread, but something's happened with the spring and it's not working. But anyway, I will move that around the corner, obviously, and then we'll have electrics here. And at the same time, I will take Cat 6 up here as well. I need to try and find if they do like a protected, armoured version of it, so I can come up here and then potentially mount some form of internet hub here as well. Other than that, we're all done on that. Obviously, we've got to bang that down now, the mile, get that as tight as possible. And then once that's done, we'll get the actual concrete mixed up and get that back over the top. The electrician that was meant to do the electric points today didn't turn up. We had 2 guys. One was meant to be putting a 220 breaker in for the pump downstairs. He never came back. And the guy that was meant to come to do the e-charger connection and the trip and the cabling, he never came either. So if anyone sees any electricians, let me know. And in the meantime, the plumbing company I told you about, brilliant individual. He's downstairs at the moment putting the pressure tank in. So I'll film that maybe tomorrow and get that complete. So that's just this in case the water gets too hot and the pressure goes up. There's a separate cylinder that 1 takes the water and 2 has got like an overflow on it. So that's being installed as we speak. Bear in mind it's 5 to 5. Anyway, I'm going to leave you to it. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe down below if you don't mind. Comments would be greatly appreciated. And I'll leave you a little hummingbird in the corner here. Can you see him? Oh, not my face. Here he is.